everybody, Jeppy here, and I was recently thinking to myself, which year in Rainbow Six Siege gave us the absolute best operators? So I made a list, but in order to find out which year gave us the absolute best operators, I needed to refresh my memory on what operators came out in their respected year. So after I organized every single operator in the year that they came out in, I knew I was ready to start ranking these operators. I decided to make a scoring system from 1 through 5, with 1 being absolutely trash and 5 being like absolutely amazing and god tier. I'd give a rank from 1 through 5 for each DLC operator ever released in Siege and then add it all up, and every year had the highest number of all their operators added up would win. But I quickly ran into an issue that I honestly wasn't expecting. So since Ubisoft thought it would be an absolutely fantastic idea to give us only 1 new operator halfway through year 5 instead of normally 2 operators for each season, year 5 is only left with 6 new operators, where every other year in Rainbow Six Siege gave us 8 new operators. So there was 2 less operators in year 5 compared to all the other years in Siege. So I got my very limited amount of brain cells together, and I decided that the most fair and accurate way to represent year 5 with any other year was to just double the score of Zero and Aruni. So the score I gave to Zero and Aruni, I would just double that and then add that to the list and see how that ranked up with the other years. So with that little problem taken care of, I was then able to start ranking every single operator, and that took quite a while. I skipped Flores because he's in year 6, and that would just be unfair to rank him with all the other operators. So sorry, Flores, you're not on the list. So guys, let's finally get to my list of the year that gave us the best operators in Rainbow Six Siege. I guess we could start with the very worst year and then work our way up to the best year at the end of the video. So starting off with the very worst, unfortunately, it's not even close. It's year 4. So in year 4, we have the operators released of Mozzie, Gridlock, Warden, Nook, Goyo, Amaru, Womai, and ending off with Callie. And with the score system of 1 through 5, with 1 being kind of trash and 5 being like really good, I decided to start off with Mozzie at rank 5. I think that makes a lot of sense. Mozzie is super good. The P10 Roni, especially with the 1.5, is absolutely amazing, and he's a 3-speed. His gadget is really good, denies intel, and is just overall a fantastic operator. Oh yeah, one more thing I do want to tell you guys is that the ranks I give for the operators in this video are from current day. So an operator like Lion, like when he was released, he was absolutely god tier and broken, but now he's kind of trash. So we're going current day. So with that being said, Gridlock, I think I put her at number 2 because she's not really great. Nomad does everything that she does, but better. It kind of sucks being an attacker as a 1-speed. Her guns are okay. She does bring the smoke grenades. I think the best redeeming factor for Gridlock, that she's probably the best operator for post-plant scenarios on attackers, because she could throw down her track stingers and then also smoke grenades to cover the plant. I think she's one of the best post-plant, but that's really all she's got going for her. Warden, I gave a 1. I mean, obviously, you all know he's awful. Custard would probably very likely disagree with me, but he's just not very good. The amount of situations that he can ever put himself into where he can utilize his glasses correctly is just not good. Nook, I put at a 3, and I kind of wanted to maybe put her at a 4, but I think overall she's still underwhelming as an attacker. Ubisoft keeps on buffing her. I think she's 1 buff away from being really good, but I think right now she's kind of average, so I'm gonna leave her at a 3. Goyo, I left him at a 2. Goyo's not very good, at least in his current state. It's probably better off to have a normal deployable shield than a Vulcan shield, and I'm being honest. And for future people watching this video, the time of this recording at May 8th, 2021, Goyo did not get his rework yet. Just a reminder. The Vector is really good, but it's probably really the only thing going for Goyo, to be honest. Next up, I gave Amaru a 3. She's not very great. She's kind of just average. Most of the time she dies in the first 20 seconds of the round, and I feel like once you lose the element of surprise, Amaru is just an average operator. Next up, I gave Womai a 4. If this video was made a couple months ago, I think Womai would most definitely be a 5 because he did have his deployable shield. He doesn't have his deployable shield anymore, and with his Womai disc being able to protect the deployable shield, it was really hard to get him out from his spots. I think he's a 4 now ever since he lost it. Still really good, just not quite a 5. Now, ending off year 4, we have Callie, and I decided to give Callie a 4. I think we probably could have given her a 3, to be honest. Her gadget, the Lance, is actually pretty good and I think very underrated. But the thing with Callie is if you miss that first shot with her sniper and the enemy is looking right at you, there's a very good chance you're going to lose that gunfight. If you hit that first shot and you down that operator, you're probably going to win. but if you don't hit that first shot, you're probably going to lose. The fragging potential for Callie just isn't really there. So with year 4 all done, we add up every single score I gave to the operators. We're left with a score of 24, which is by far the least number you're going to see in the video. And it's kind of funny because I remember when year 4 was happening, I thought to myself, man, all these operators really suck. Like, it's been a while since we've had a really good operator. And now that I'm looking back at the list, it's easy to see why. The operators just aren't as great as the other years. Now, coming up next on the list is year 5. Now, year 5 started off really rocky, but then progressed through with some amazing operators added to the game. First off, we have Oryx and Yana. I gave Oryx a 1 because he's just awful. Okay, he's awful. I'm sorry, Oryx mains, don't beat me up or dislike the video. He's just bad, and you know he's bad. It's just, he's a 1. So I gave Oryx a 1. Yana, I gave a 3. Now, Yana is starting to become really good, actually, and even in Pro League, she's used quite frequently. But the thing with Yana is if you don't have a well-coordinated team, her gadget is kind of pointless. But if you have someone who's right behind the Yana hologram and getting the refrag, she can be really good. I decided to give her a 3 for today's video. Malusi and Ace are very easily 5. Even with Malusi getting nerf after nerf, she's still so good and one of the most banned operators. And I'm even starting to see, as a Plat 2, Plat 1 player currently in Siege, I'm starting to see Ace getting banned more and more, even with a couple nerfs Ace's way too. I mean, the season that Malusi and Ace come out was one of the best seasons ever released operator-wise because they're just so good. I decided to give them both a 5. Now, here we have the issue where Ubisoft only started releasing 1 operator per season. So coming up first is Zero, and I decided to give Zero a 3. And I'm sorry, Sam Fisher guys and people who played all the Splinter Cell games, but in Rainbow Six Siege, Zero just isn't super great. His gadget is kind of underwhelming. Maybe if it didn't make so much noise, he might be better. His guns are really good, but ever since he lost his frag grenades, I feel like he lost a lot of fragging potential. Well, literally, I guess. So since we're going to double Zero's score, I originally gave him a 3. Now his score is a 6 to make up for year 5 not having as many operators. Coming up next for year 5 is going to be Aruni, and I decided to give Aruni a 3. She's actually really good, but I still think we're in the infancy of making really good strategies with Aruni. It might be something like Castle, where he gets better and better as the years go on because you can just come up with better strategies. So far I'm thinking Aruni, and we're going to put her in the middle of the road at a 3, on the verge of becoming a 4. When we add every single operator in year 5, we get the score of 26. So 2 points above the year 4, but not much better, to be honest. Let's move on to the next year. Now, the next year coming up is actually the first year ever released for Siege, with year 1. So the first DLC operators to ever be released in Rainbow Six Siege was Operation Black Ice with Frost and Buck. I decided to give Frost a 2 because, let's be real, Frost isn't that great. Her guns are pretty underwhelming. Now, when she first released, her shotgun was god tier, but really the shotgun fallen off the meta a long time ago, and her SMG just isn't really great. The thing with frost mats though is you have to rely on the enemies being, well, bad for not checking for frost mats and pre-firing windows below when they know there's a frost. Next up, I gave Buck a 4. When Buck had his frag grenades, he was easily a 5, but ever since Ubisoft took away his frags, I'm deciding to give Buck at a 4, unfortunately. His vertical play is second to none, and if you can master that C8 recoil, he's a really great operator, obviously. Now, coming up next is one of the best DLC operators ever added to Siege with Valkyrie, and I easily gave her a 5. Even though the MPX is kind of an underwhelming gun, her black eyes are easily one of the best gadgets in all of Rainbow Six Siege, and the fact that she can still throw her cams outside of the building, she's the only operator that can do that, and still get intel from outside the map on the attackers, is just way too good. Even if they got rid of that mechanic, Valkyrie is still amazing, easily a 5. Coming up next is Blackbeard. Now, I decided to give Blackbeard a 2. When Blackbeard first released, obviously he'd be a 5. But nerf after nerf after nerf after nerf after nerf, and let's say after nerf 5 more times, he's now resting at a 2. I would put Blackbeard at a 1 overall, but since he can still block 1 bullet with his shields, that 1 bullet might have been the chance between a gunfight winning or losing, so I'm going to leave Blackbeard at a 2. Coming up next is Cavi, and I'm leaving her at a 3. At high ranks, she's virtually useless. At low to mid ranks, she's actually really good. It all depends on the coordination of the attacking team and what mistakes they make to open up Caveira's potential. Overall, Cavi's not really great, but she's not really awful. It kind of depends what rank you're in. Coming up next is Capitao. Now, I decided to put Capitao at a 3, but I will say that Capitao is one of the most underrated attackers in Rainbow Six Siege. He's actually really good once you get to use him, and if you coordinate your attacks with him like really well, he can really shine in those scenarios, especially pre and post plant scenarios. Unfortunately, his gun isn't like super great, and he's very easily overlooked. I'm leaving him at a 3. Coming up next is Echo. Now, Echo used to be a 5 when he first came out, but ever since they nerfed his yokai drone to where the invisibility just isn't there anymore, I'm gonna leave him at a 3. He's still really good in some situations, but definitely not as fantastic, and his yokai drone is a lot easier to see now as what it used to be. And ending off year 1, we have Hibana. I still think that through the years of Rainbow Six Siege, Hibana still deserves a rank of 5. Even though her Type 89 still to this day only has 21 rounds, I still think that she has a lot going for her. Even with the rework they gave to her ex Kairos, to where you can decide to shoot 2, 4, or 6 pellets. I did 6 pellets. I think that actually helped her out a lot with conserving and better utilizing her ex Cairo resources to her advantage. So if we add all the numbers of all the operators in year 1, we end off with a score of 27, one above year 5. Now coming up next is going to be year 3. Now year 3 had a lot of great operators, especially when they first released, but over the years I feel like the power of year 3 has gone down a decent amount, and you'll see why. So starting off with year 3, we have Finka and Lion. Now when Finka first came out, her most redeeming quality is the fact that she can make Blitz being able to ADS so quickly, and the shield ADSing so quickly. But ever since they really nerfed that mechanic, I don't think Finka is super great. And there are actually a lot of people that think that the recoil help that Finka uses for her surge, her adrenaline surge, is actually detrimental in some cases. Now Lion, when he first came out, was easily a 5. But now he's a 1. He's awful. When I made my Lion operator lore video, I struggled more than really any other operator in my recent memory of trying to get clips with Lion for background footage. I don't know what it is. I just can't get kills with Lion, and it leaves a sour taste in my mouth. And since this is a opinion video for me, I'm gonna put Lion at a 1. Now coming up next in year 3 is gonna be Alibi. I think Alibi is kind of underrated, but also not really super great in her own ways. I think her prismas are better utilized for blocking lines of sight and making it ping people when they jump through windows. I think one of Alibi's most redeeming qualities is how versatile she is. With her bailiff, she can open up a lot of hatches and rotate. I think she's one of the best roamers in the game. I'm still gonna leave her at a 3 though. Now, coming up next is Maestro, and he's easily a 5. Even when he lost the ACOG sight for his Alda, he still is just that good. The Alda is amazing. His 2 bulletproof anti-gadget, anti-drone devices are just amazing. Easily a 5. Now coming up next is Clash, and she's a 2. I was gonna decide to put her on a 1, but honestly, a really good Clash player where the defending team plays around the Clash and utilizes her shield and her area effect effectively. That team is really good, and Clash can really shine in those situations. I'm gonna give Clash a 2 though, because I hate her. Now coming up next is Maverick, and he's easily a 5. His M4 is really good, and his blowtorch has no counters at all. If you need to get through that wall, Maverick is one of your best guys to do it. Easy 5, and he has frag grenades. Now coming up next is Kaid and Nomad, and I decided to give Kaid and Nomad both 5s. The end of year 3 finished off with an absolute bang because Kaid and Nomad are some fantastic operators. Obviously, Kaid doesn't have the absolute best fragging potential, but with the 1.5 on his AUG, he's actually gotten pretty good. His electro claws are some of the best gadgets on defense, and they can be really annoying to get rid of sometimes. And Nomad is the perfect operator to protect your flanks. She gets a ton of air jabs. Her guns are decent, not super amazing, but I think her gadgets really are some of the best for the attackers, especially for a team who's roaming a lot. So if we add the scores for every single operator in year 3, we end off with a score of 28. Year 3 score of 28 just narrowly beats out year 1 score of 27 by only 1 point. If you were to put year 3 and year 1 against each other, I think it's just slightly above year 1. So that leaves year 2 as the best year at Rainbow Six Siege, and I'm gonna tell you guys why. Year 2 has some absolutely amazing operators, and really no operator in year 2 is awful, like genuinely. So we start off with Mira and Jackal. Mira is very easily 5, one of the best defenders on defense, and entire attacking teams have to play around Mira, and if there's a Mira on the enemy team and she isn't banned, you have to deal with that Mira or you're probably not going to win that round. I did give Jackal a 4, very nearly giving him a 5, but I decided to give him a 4 because the only really great thing he can do is frag and clear roamers. He doesn't really do anything else besides that. I just decided to give him a 4, which I probably should have given him a 5, but I just gave him a 4. Jackal's really good. when he's not banned. Legion, when he first started off, is easily a 5, but ever since Ubisoft has been nerfing him kind of consistently throughout, I decided to drop him down to a 4. The T5 is still really, really good. He did have his 1.5 scope, which was amazing, but they took away the 1.5. They also did a couple more nerfs to Legion, and most notably the nerf to where it doesn't do the initial 10 damage when you first step on it. As soon as they made that nerf, Legion's effectiveness drops pretty substantially. He's still an excellent operator though. Now coming up is Ying, and I decided to give Ying a 3. I don't think she deserved to be given a 2. She's not super great. I do think Ying is underrated. A really good aggressive player can use Ying to like her fullest potential, throwing down smoke grenades, her countless candelas, and just raining hell on sight, clearing out the entire objective. But I don't know, I feel like a lot of things have to go right for Ying to be used to her full effectiveness. Coming up next is Ella. Now when Ella first released, she was very easily a 5 and one of the most broken operators to ever be added to Rainbow Six Siege. But again, nerf after nerf after nerf, she's dropped down from her pedestal that she was on for the longest time. I still think Ella is a 4. I was teetering between a 3 and a 4. The reason why I decided to end off on a 4, that even though her Scorpion is a little hard to control sometimes, it still gets the job done. The RPM is insane. Another thing is her Grismont mines are absolutely amazing. Even if you die in the first 4 seconds of round spawn peaking, the Grismont mines that you left behind are going to like annoy the attackers and can potentially win rounds because they're just that good. Now Vigil is clearly a 5. He's one of the best, if not the best roamer in the game, and his ability to delay the attacking team and make them guess all the time where Vigil is really, really underrated. His guns are absolutely amazing and just honestly one of the best roamers. Easy 5. Now coming up next is Dokkaebi, and I gave her a 3. I feel like the only thing that's really holding Dokkaebi back is a really great primary weapon. If she didn't have a DMR and if she had like any decent AR, her rank would easily be a 4 or a 5. Her global ability of calling all the defenders' phones is really, really good. I mean, you know, it's really good. And also her ability to pick up a defender's phone and get access to the enemy's cameras is amazing as well. Now the last operator we got is Zofia, and even though Zofia lost her withstand, I'm still giving her a 5. She is arguably one of the best, if not next to Ash, the best entry fragger in the game, and she brings a total of 4 projectiles, 2 of those being concussive, while 2 of those being impact. Her gun is absolutely amazing and can still have access to, I believe it's the 2.0 scope, so she still has a higher optic. Her claymores fit her well, and overall Zofia is just a fantastic operator, easily a 5. And when you add up the score of all of the operators in year 2, it comes out to 33, which is far and above the highest on any other year in Rainbow Six Siege. All right, everyone, so with my list done, my personal opinion is that year 2 has the best operators ever released in Rainbow Six Siege. Now, do you guys agree? If you don't, let me know your reasons why in the comments below. Also, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to notifications if you're new. Now, with all that being said, Jeppy out!